Good morning, this is Jerry Zremski from the Buffalo News Washington Bureau. Happy Dingus Day, happy belated Easter, happy belated Passover, and thanks for joining me this morning. Now, we don't exactly celebrate Dingus Day in Washington, D.C. quite like we do in Buffalo, and I must say I sort of miss it. Here in Washington, what we do, like we always do, is go to work, and that's what I'm doing here today. I'm doing that even though it's a fairly slow news week. Congress, once again, is not in session this week. All the members are back home doing what they do when they're back home, meeting with their constituents, meeting with other leaders in the community, and campaigning, because there is an election coming up in November. And frankly, that's what I'm turning my attention to this week as well. I'm going to be working on a couple of different stories that are connected to the presidential race. First of all, I've been plugging away for a few weeks and hope to complete this week a story on campaign finance and the presidential race and Buffalo. I want to ask and answer the questions: who's giving money to the presidential candidates from Buffalo? What wealthy people in the community are weighing in, and how much are they weighing in? How much do they support the president? How much do they support Mitt Romney or the Republican candidates? And how much money are they putting on the line here? So that should be an interesting story. It takes a lot of computer work to do these sorts of stories, but that's what I'm going to be doing here, time permitting, unless other news comes my way, as tends to happen sometimes. Beyond that, I'll be working with Bob McCarthy, our chief political reporter in Buffalo, on other stories as they relate to the New York Republican presidential primary on April 24th. We hope to do a good preview of the race, and it really actually will be something of a race. It looks like the Republican candidates are going to be spending some time in New York in the next few weeks, and Bob will be up there covering the candidates if they come to the Buffalo area. But Bob and I together are going to be kind of looking at this in more of a comprehensive way and really writing about what the New York primary means. Now, beyond that, I have a lot of stories to just follow, to keep my tabs on. If you were reading my stories last week, you know that I've been writing about Pinnacle Airlines, the parent of Colgan Air, which operated the plane that crashed in Clarence in 2009, Flight 3407. I've done some pretty interesting stories about Pinnacle and its difficulties in paying its employees, its raises that it granted to its top executives even though the company was about ready to enter bankruptcy, etc. And when these sorts of things happen, and stories like that are written, they tend to generate more news stories, and more could be coming down the line on that general topic. Similarly, I'll be checking in to see what's going on in terms of the Niagara Falls Air Reserve Station and the potential loss of a unit's mission there. And I'll be checking in on the plan that the U.S. Postal Service has to close its postal facility in Buffalo. Its processing facility, I should say. Now, I don't know if there is going to be news on those fronts this week, but that's what we reporters do. We kind of keep checking on things until news happens or until we find news. So I'm sure I'll find some as the week goes on, and I hope you'll be reading my stories, and I hope you'll join me next week for another update. Thanks.